Look at these two dudes, Louis and Nipsey Hussle. On the block.
In a few years, one of these men, Nipsey Hussle, would be fatally shot in 2019. Then in 2025, the second, Jabari Henley, whose father, Big U, was tied to Nipsey's murder, would face the same fate. It's a deadly mix of gang politics, street justice, and what makes this story even darker are the chilling words he left for his dad. The disturbing last words that shook the streets. Before we get into the nitty-gritty details that got the internet buzzing and conspiracy theorists working overtime, let me set the scene for you real quick, because this ain't just about one tragic Halloween night in South LA. This is about decades of tension, loyalty turned to betrayal, and the brutal reality that in the streets, sins of the father often become the son's inheritance, whether he wanted that legacy or not. Now let me tell you what really went down on Halloween night, October 31st, 2025, at approximately 11:11 p.m. in the Vermont Slauson neighborhood of South Los Angeles. Picture this: Jabari, baby wee, Henley, a 34-year-old cat who was just trying to live his life right, working his warehouse supervisor job in Compton, being a father to his 10-year-old daughter, staying out of the street drama that followed his pops like a dark cloud. He pulls up to the Fig and 69 smoke shop at the intersection of South Figueroa Street and West 69th Street. This spot right here, it's nestled between a liquor store, an auto body shop, and an empty lot in a dimly lit area that's seen more than its fair share of gang violence over the years, sitting right in the heart of what's historically been Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips territory, the same set his father Big U allegedly helped build into a powerhouse back in the day. So Jabari, standing at 6'1" with a solid build, approaches the passenger window of a dark-colored sedan, possibly a Toyota Camry or Honda Accord, that had pulled up slowly to the curb like it was meant to be there all along. According to eyewitnesses, including a food truck vendor who was serving late-night munchies nearby, and some smoke shop patrons who were about to call it a night, Jabari leaned into that car window and engaged in what looked like a brief conversation, even appearing to smile for a hot second, like maybe he recognized whoever was inside that whip, like maybe this was someone he knew from the neighborhood or thought was cool people. But then, in the blink of an eye, everything changed in the most violent and permanent way possible. At least 7 shots rang out from what investigators believe was a 9mm or 40 caliber semi-automatic pistol, shattering the Halloween night air and sending everyone within earshot scrambling for cover or freezing in pure terror. Jabari got hit 4 times, fam, twice in the torso and upper chest area, once in his left arm, and once in his thigh, and the impact of those bullets sent him stumbling backward toward the smoke shop door in a desperate attempt to find safety or help or just something to hold himself up. He smeared blood all over that glass door as he tried to stay on his feet, painting a tragic crimson handprint that would haunt everyone who saw the crime scene photos later, before he collapsed right there on the cold concrete sidewalk, his life force literally draining out of him while the suspects in that dark sedan peeled off into the night.
Very well-known Crip got killed tonight.
LAPD officers were dispatched to the scene at exactly 11:11 p.m. and arrived by 11:14 p.m., finding Jabari fighting for every breath he had left in him. Paramedics came through with the urgency you'd expect, immediately beginning CPR on the scene, inserting IV lines to try to pump fluids and medication into his system, administering epinephrine in a desperate attempt to jumpstart his failing body and keep his heart beating. But despite their best efforts and all their medical training and equipment, Jabari was pronounced dead at 11:28 p.m. due to hemorrhagic shock, laceration of the left pulmonary artery, and multiple gunshot wounds. The coroner's report, which was released the very next day as case number 2025-04512, confirmed what everyone already knew in their hearts. This was a homicide, plain and simple, intentional, and targeted. Not some random act of violence or robbery gone wrong, but a calculated hit that somebody planned and executed with cold precision. Now here's where things get real interesting, and where the internet detectives and street historians started connecting dots like they were playing some twisted game of conspiracy bingo. The toxicology report came back completely clean. No alcohol, no drugs, no controlled substances whatsoever in Jabari's system, which just reinforced what everyone who knew him personally had been saying all along. This wasn't a dude who was out here living reckless or caught up in the street life actively. He was trying to do right, trying to break the cycle, trying to be a good father and live a square life away from all the gang politics and violence that had defined so much of his father's existence and reputation. But here's the cold, hard truth that nobody wants to accept, but everybody in the hood knows deep down in their bones. In the streets, it don't matter how clean you live, how far you try to distance yourself from the game, or how many times you turn the other cheek and mind your business. When your last name carries the weight of decades of gang politics, old beefs, alleged extortions, and street power plays, you're marked from birth, carrying a target on your back that you never asked for but can't ever fully remove, like a tattoo inked in invisible ink that only your enemies can see clearly. And that's exactly what happened to Jabari Henley, a young man whose only real crime in the eyes of his killers was being born as Big U's son, inheriting a legacy that he never wanted and couldn't escape no matter how hard he tried. And here's where the investigation took a turn that had everyone in the hip-hop community and the streets talking. Forensic analysts found a partial DNA match on the suspect vehicle that pointed to someone affiliated with the Hoover Criminals, a gang that's been beefing with the rolling 60s neighborhood Crips for literal decades, going back to the 1970s and 80s when these territorial wars first kicked off in South LA. This discovery immediately elevated the case from a simple homicide to a potential gang retaliation hit, possibly connected to Big U's alleged leadership role in the rolling 60s and the countless beefs, feuds, and violent encounters that came with that position over the years. Now, let's talk about these so-called disturbing last words that got the internet in a chokehold and Nipsey Hussle's affiliates using them as ammunition to mock Big U while he's locked up and grieving the most painful loss a father can experience. Here's the real tea, fam, the unfiltered truth that needs to be said loud and clear. There are no confirmed last words spoken by Jabari "Baby Wee" Henley at the scene of his murder. So where did this whole disturbing last words narrative come from if it's not based in actual reality? The first and most significant piece of content is what's being called the Houston Closet Clip, and this thing has been viewed millions of times since Jabari's death, shared across every platform you can think of, and analyzed frame by frame like it's the Zapruder film of hip-hop street culture. This is a short, casual video clip that runs under 1 minute in length, featuring Jabari, Baby Wee, along with his associates Cold Hearted Ack and New Jack, all chilling in what appears to be a relaxed setting, possibly a closet or lounge area at some kind of event, with balloons and Coca-Cola promotional signs visible in the background, giving it that informal house party or backstage vibe. The clip itself went absolutely nuclear after Jabari's murder, racking up thousands upon thousands of views on X and TikTok by early November 2025, being shared and reshared as either last footage of Jabari alive and well, or as some kind of symbolic representation of lost opportunities, wasted potential, and the tragic cycle of violence that consumes so many young black men in our communities before they ever get the chance to fully realize their dreams and ambitions. Now, why is this clip being deemed disturbing or prophetic by the online masses, and particularly by Nipsey's affiliates who have been weaponizing it against Big U? Because the themes discussed, taking breaks from street life, avoiding vices and dangerous habits, the concept of pain multiplying pain, opportunities that were given and then tragically cut short, all of these elements are now being viewed through the lens of Jabari's violent death and the broader karma theories that suggest Big U's alleged role in Nipsey's murder has come back to haunt him through his son's killing. People are interpreting lines like pain multiplies pain, which was actually a phrase used by Black Sam, Nipsey's biological brother, when he urged the community to find peace instead of celebrating Jabari's death, as some kind of cosmic warning or prophetic statement about the cycle of violence and retaliation that would eventually consume Jabari, even though he was barely involved in the street politics that defined his father's life and career. The deadly legacy, Big U, Nipsey, and a beef that never died. To really understand why Jabari Baby Wee Henley's murder has sparked such intense speculation, conspiracy theories, and straight-up celebration from certain corners of the hip-hop world, especially from Nipsey Hussle's most loyal affiliates and supporters, we need to rewind the clock and dive deep into the complicated, multifaceted, and ultimately tragic relationship between Eugene Big U Henley and Ermias Nipsey Hussle Asghedom, a connection that started with genuine mentorship and brotherhood but evolved into something much darker. Big U, a reputed high-ranking member and alleged longtime leader of the Rollins 60s neighborhood Crips, turned community activist and music executive through his label Unique Music, played an absolutely pivotal role in Nipsey's early career trajectory, serving as a mentor, manager, and protective figure. Their bond began around 2008 as what appeared from the outside to be a supportive big brother-little brother dynamic, and this is important to note. Nipsey's daughter's mother is actually Big U's niece, which meant their connection was quite literally family. In those early days, Big U positioned himself as a godfather figure in LA rap, connecting street artists like Nipsey to industry opportunities that they might not have been able to access on their own, providing resources, including studio equipment and recording time, and facilitating Nipsey's early mixtapes and tours that helped build his independent brand and fan base long before he ever signed with a major label. Nipsey viewed Big U as more than just a manager or business associate. He was Unc, short for uncle, a term of respect and familial affection that signaled the depth of their connection and the trust that Nipsey placed in Big U's guidance during those formative years of his career. But as we all know from watching countless behind the music documentaries and reading hip-hop history books, very few mentor-protege relationships in this industry stay beautiful and harmonious forever, especially when money starts getting involved, egos start inflating, and creative differences emerge. The relationship between Big U and Nipsey began deteriorating sometime around 2011, and the fallout was caused by a toxic combination of personal disputes, business disagreements, and gang-related political issues that all collided at once like a perfect storm of street drama and music industry politics. The most infamous and well-documented incident that marked the beginning of the end for their partnership was a parking lot altercation that went down in 2011. According to multiple accounts from people who were there or heard about it immediately afterward, the beef started when Nipsey allegedly showed up at his daughter's mother's home, remember that's Big U's niece, and got into some kind of confrontation over concerns about the environment being unsafe for his child due to drugs and other toxicity allegedly present at the residence. Now, we don't know all the specific details of what went down inside that house. Eyewitnesses and sources close to the situation say that Nipsey assaulted someone at the residence, which Big U took as a sign of disrespect, not just to his family, but to his authority as an OG and elder in the street hierarchy that governed their world. Big U, feeling disrespected, confronted Nipsey at the Marathon clothing store on Slauson Avenue, the very store that would later become the site of Nipsey's murder years later in 2019. The confrontation at the Marathon store quickly escalated from a verbal exchange into a full-on physical altercation that spilled out into the alley behind the building, where Big U reportedly beat Nipsey pretty badly, according to people who witnessed the fight or heard about it immediately afterward from those who were there. But it didn't stop with just Nipsey catching that fade. Big U also went at Black Sam, Nipsey's biological brother and business partner, in the same altercation, turning what started as a one-on-one confrontation into a multi-person brawl that threatened to escalate even further into something potentially fatal. According to accounts that have been shared in interviews, documentaries, and street legend stories that get passed around in LA hip-hop circles, Black Sam, seeing his brother getting beaten and trying to protect him from further harm, pulled out a firearm and fired a warning shot into the air in an attempt to de-escalate the situation. That gunshot brought LAPD rushing to the scene within minutes, responding to reports of shots fired in an area that was already heavily policed due to its location in gang territory. The entire group, Big U, Nipsey, Black Sam, and possibly others who were present during the altercation, were arrested and taken into custody, charged with various offenses related to the fight and the gun discharge, and processed through the LA County jail system before bailing out the very next day and getting released back onto the streets to continue their beef in other ways. Big U would later claim in his appearance in the Showtime documentary series Hip Hop Uncovered that the altercation wasn't really about music or money or business disputes like people assumed. According to Big U, it was about gang-banging politics and violations of protocol and respect within the Rolling 60s hierarchy. In that documentary, Big U made the somewhat boastful and definitely controversial claim that he went 3-0 in that altercation, meaning he got the best of Nipsey, Black Sam, and allegedly even Nipsey's father, who some accounts say was also involved in the melee, and caught hands from Big U at some point during the chaos. According to Big U's version of events, they eventually settled their differences weeks later, but the beefs didn't stop with just that one physical altercation in 2011. As Nipsey's career continued to grow throughout the mid-2010s, new tensions emerged around business dealings and what Nipsey felt was mismanagement or unfair treatment from Big U regarding studio equipment, contracts, and control over his creative direction and career decisions. Around 2017, there were reports of disputes over studio equipment at Big U's recording facility, and this business tension prompted Nipsey to record what some people consider a diss track aimed at Big U called You Don't Got a Clue, which appeared on his 2010 mixtape The Marathon, but took on new meaning and significance when the beef reignited years later in 2017. In that track, Nipsey took direct shots at Big U with bars like additional beefs during this mid-2010s period included Big U's vocal opposition to Nipsey's efforts to build cross-gang unity and collaborations, particularly Nipsey's working relationship with YG, who was affiliated with the Bloods, the longtime rivals of the Crips in LA's gang hierarchy. But here's where the story takes an interesting turn that complicates the neat narrative of Big U and Nipsey being eternal enemies who beefed until the end. By late 2016, they apparently reconciled and mended at least some of their differences, with Big U serving as road manager for Nipsey's Victory Lap promotional tour in 2018, which was Nipsey's first and ultimately only major label album release through Atlantic Records that earned him a Grammy nomination and elevated him to mainstream success after years of grinding as an independent artist. Nipsey even featured Big U in the music video for Rap Negus off that album, which seemed like a public reconciliation and a signal to the streets and the industry that whatever beef they had in the past was settled and they were back to being on good terms. In a 2021 interview on the Drink Champs podcast, Big U explicitly denied that there was any active beef between him and Nipsey at the time of the murder, stating firmly, "We ain't got no beef, period. We never stopped talking." But here's where things get real. Murky, and where the conspiracy theories really found fertile ground to grow and spread. In 2023, years after Nipsey's death, a federal wiretap captured Big U in a conversation where he confirmed there was no active beef with Nipsey, but then made a statement that would haunt him: "I'ma kill him, period. I am going to murder him." Now, the context of this statement isn't fully clear from the leaked portions of the wiretap that made it online. Who was he talking about? Was he speaking hypothetically? Which brings us to the elephant in the room that we need to address head on: the persistent, unsubstantiated conspiracy theories that have circulated since March 31st, 2019, linking Big U to Nipsey Hussle's murder, even though Eric Shitty Cuz Holder Jr. was arrested, tried, convicted, and sentenced to 60 years to life in prison for the killing, with the official narrative being that it was a personal dispute between Holder and Nipsey over snitching accusations and disrespect that led to the shooting outside the Marathon clothing store that terrible Sunday afternoon.
Mr. Holder walked up on multiple occasions and engaged in a conversation with Nipsey and the others that were there. He left and then came back, and subsequently came back armed with a handgun and purposely and repeatedly fired, striking and killing Nipsey Hussle.
Despite the official story and Holder's conviction, a significant portion of the hip-hop community, particularly those closest to Nipsey and those who knew about the history between Nipsey and Big U, have maintained that there's more to the story than what came out in court, with theories ranging from Big U having foreknowledge of the hit to him actually orchestrating it behind the scenes as some kind of ultimate street justice for perceived disrespect and contract violations that had festered for years beneath the surface of their public reconciliation. These conspiracy theories gained massive traction after Big U was indicted in March 2025 on 43 federal RICO counts, including charges of extortion, human trafficking, fraud, and involvement in a 2021 murder of an aspiring rapper named Rayshawn R.W. Williams, who allegedly disrespected Big U through a diss track and paid for that disrespect with his life.
Mr. Henley engaged in a murder of a musician signed to his label in 2021 and dumped the victim's body in Las Vegas off of the I-15 freeway. He then attempted to evade and obstruct the investigation into the murder, including ordering witnesses not to speak with law enforcement.
The parallels between that 2021 murder case, where an aspiring artist allegedly dices Big U and ends up dead shortly thereafter, and Nipsey's situation back in 2019 were not lost on anyone paying attention, and it gave credibility to theories that had previously been dismissed as internet speculation and street gossip without any real evidence behind them. One of the most vocal proponents of the Big U conspiracy theory has been an affiliate named Loose Cannon, who claimed in a deleted No Jumper interview that's been preserved in clips and screenshots across social media.
So he FaceTimed me and stuff like that. He was like, Nipsey just got killed. I'm like, so I didn't hear that. So I hang up with him. I called Nipsey and I'm like, Nipsey, what's up? He was like, oh, what's up with it?
Nipsey answered.
Nipsey answered. He answered the phone.
He continued by saying,
so after I talked to Nipsey and I was like, yeah, I love you cuz or whatever like that. I'll see you later or whatever. So I hung up the phone. I thought Big U gave wrong information. 30 minutes later, the homies blowing me up like they just killed Nipsey.
The widely circulated clip implied that Big U knew about Nipsey's impending death 30 minutes before it happened, implying he either orchestrated it or was informed about the hit by whoever did orchestrate it and chose not to warn Nipsey or intervene to prevent the tragedy. Karma, streets, and a family's pain. Now we arrive at the most painful, most controversial, and most emotionally charged part of this whole tragic story. The reactions, the theories, the mockery, and the broader questions about street justice, karma, and whether the sins of the father should ever be visited upon the son.
Homie, they killed Nip too. Let's not forget, homie. They killed Nipsey Hussle. Eric Holder was not a lone actor in that. If you go back and follow the details, Nip and Big U got into it.
When news first broke about Jabari, Baby Wee, Henley's murder on October 31st, 2025, the initial reactions from the hip-hop community, and particularly from those who knew Jabari personally, were exactly what you'd expect. Shock, sadness, condolences, prayers for the family, and calls for anyone with information about the shooting to come forward and help bring the killers to justice so that Jabari's daughter wouldn't grow up with her father's murder unsolved and his killers walking free. But it didn't take long. We're talking hours, not days, before a much darker, more sinister reaction started bubbling up from certain corners of the internet, specifically from people who were loyal to Nipsey Hussle's memory and who had been waiting for years for what they considered cosmic justice or street karma to catch up with Big U for his alleged role in or foreknowledge of Nipsey's 2019 murder.
Nigga, I've been saying a long time ago Big U in the 60s had killed Nip.
These reactions, which started appearing on social media platforms like X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok almost immediately after Jabari's identity was confirmed and his connection to Big U was established, ranged from subtle references to karma and cosmic balance, all the way to outright celebration, mockery, and posts that literally said Big U deserved to feel the same pain he allegedly inflicted on Nipsey's family when he supposedly orchestrated or allowed the Marathon Man's death to happen without warning him or intervening. The hashtag #JustNipKarma started trending with over 4,000 uses across various platforms within 48 hours of the murder, with users posting side-by-side photos of Nipsey and Jabari, drawing explicit parallels between their deaths and framing Jabari's killing as the universe or the streets delivering payback for Big U's alleged sins against the Hustle family and the entire hip-hop community that mourned Nipsey's loss so deeply. Posts celebrated the death as karmic justice and what goes around comes around, with some users going so far as to create memes, videos, and commentary explicitly stating that Big U was now experiencing the same pain, grief, and helplessness that Nipsey's family felt when they lost their son, brother, father, and community leader in that parking lot outside the Marathon store back in 2019. The online mockery and celebration reached such toxic and disturbing levels that even some of Nipsey's closest family members and affiliates who had their own issues with Big U felt compelled to speak out and call for restraint, peace, and respect for the dead. Black Sam, Nipsey's biological brother and business partner, who was there during that 2011 altercation and has his own complicated history with Big U, posted a message urging the community to honor Nipsey's memory with peace rather than celebrating violence, writing words that should have resonated with everyone paying attention. Pain multiplies pain. Honor NIP with peace, not this. But despite Black Sam's calls for peace and similar messages from other people who actually knew both Big U and Nipsey personally and understood the complexity of their relationship beyond just what played out on social media and in conspiracy theory YouTube videos, the mockery and celebration continued, with some of the most toxic content coming from people who claim to be affiliated with Nipsey's All Money and Crew or his NSBE, Neighborhood Nip, circle of close friends and associates. According to multiple reports and screenshots that circulated widely online, some of these affiliates even confronted Big U during a prison visit at the Metropolitan Detention Center, where he's currently being held on those heavy federal RICO charges while awaiting trial, and engaged in a heated exchange that nearly turned physical before corrections officers intervened and ended the visit early, recognizing that tensions were escalating to a dangerous level that could result in violence even inside the controlled environment of a federal detention facility. Meanwhile, in the midst of all this online chaos and toxic celebration from people who never knew Jabari personally, Jabari's actual family members who loved him and knew him as more than just Big U's son were trying to grieve and honor his memory in peace, dealing with the devastation of losing someone they cared about, while also having to watch the internet turn his death into a spectacle and a conspiracy theory, rather than treating it with the dignity and respect that any murder victim deserves. Jabari's brother, Dion Henley, who plays linebacker for the LA Chargers in the NFL, dedicated a sack in a game on November 2nd, 2025, just 2 days after his brother was killed, to Jabari's memory, dropping to one knee in the middle of the field after making the tackle and bowing his head in prayer, while thousands of fans in the stadium and millions watching on TV witnessed his private moment of grief being shared with the world. The phrase "sins of the father" gets thrown around a lot in discussions about this angle, with people noting how tragic and unfair it is that Jabari paid the ultimate price for conflicts and decisions that his father made decades before he was even born, or when he was too young to have any say in the matter, but also acknowledging the brutal reality that in the streets, family connections matter, bloodlines matter, and when you're looking to hurt someone who's untouchable because they're in federal custody facing life in prison, the next best option is often to hurt the people they love most. As we close out this deep dive into one of the most tragic and complex stories to emerge from the LA hip-hop scene in recent years, let's remember that behind every headline, every conspiracy theory, and every social media post celebrating or mourning these deaths, there are real families experiencing real pain, real children growing up without fathers, and real communities that continue to lose their young men to a cycle of violence that we collectively seem unable or unwilling to break. And with that, we've come to the end of this deep dive. For more juicy content like this, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and check out the cards showing on your screen for more videos. Don't forget to comment your thoughts below.